Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something pretty incredible, how the simple food sitting right there on your plate can literally transform both your long-term health and, honestly, the entire planet we live on. I'm so glad you're here because the data we're unpacking today is just fascinating. So let's kick things off with a big question. Can one single plate of food actually change the world? Think about it. We make food choices 3, maybe 4 times a day, usually running on total autopilot. But what if those tiny, everyday decisions held the power to prevent chronic diseases, drastically slash your carbon footprint, and even protect biodiversity? It sounds like a massive order for just a dinner plate, right? But as you'll see, the source material we're looking at today suggests exactly that.
To really wrap our heads around this, we're going to use a brilliant visual roadmap, the Plant-Based Eatwell Guide. This graphic was actually adapted from Public Health England's Standard Guide, designed specifically to help you navigate a healthy, minimally processed plant-based diet. We'll be using this as our ultimate visual anchor throughout this whole explainer, breaking down exactly what all these colorful little slices actually mean for your daily life.
And here is our quick game plan for today. First, we'll meet the plant-based plate. Then, we'll talk about actually building your daily diet, followed by a look at essential vitamins and supplements. After that, we'll dive into exactly why going plant-based matters so much, and we'll wrap up with some highly actionable tips for eating well.
Okay, let's jump right into part 1, meeting the plant-based plate.
If you take a look at the guide, you'll see it divides our food and drinks into 5 main groups. Now, the absolutely crucial thing here, and honestly the best part, is the flexibility. A really common misconception is that you have to perfectly balance every single meal you sit down to eat. But our source material makes it super clear. A balanced diet relies on getting these 5 groups over the course of a whole day, or even an entire week. It's a flexible, low-stress guide for your overall eating pattern, not some rigid mathematical formula you have to calculate at every single meal.
Moving right along to part 2, let's look at the actual mechanics of building your daily diet.
Check out that massive green section on our guide. Yep, fruits and vegetables. These guys should be making up just over 1/3 of the food you eat every single day. Now, the standard advice you always hear is 5 a day, right? But the data actually shows that bumping that up to 10 portions a day carries some serious additional health benefits. And the good news? It all counts. Fresh, frozen, canned, dried, bulking up your meals with a colorful variety is really your foundational step here.
Next up, we've got the yellow section, which is all about carbohydrates. I know, carbs get a pretty bad rap sometimes, but we've really got to bust the myth that all carbs are somehow bad for you. The guide emphasizes a super clear distinction here: whole grain carbohydrates versus refined carbohydrates. You really want to base your meals on those healthy, complex carbs. Think potatoes with the skin still on, brown rice, whole wheat pasta. These whole grains digest a lot slower, which helps regulate your blood sugar and actually keeps you feeling full way longer than those refined, white carbs do.
Now, obviously, not everything we eat comes straight out of the ground. For packaged foods, the guide highly recommends using the traffic light label system. It's such a brilliant, easy tool for spotting hidden saturated fats and excessive sugars. Basically, you're aiming for products covered in greens and ambers. And here's a really handy rule of thumb, straight from the text. If the amount of sodium in milligrams is higher than the calorie content of the food, it's just got too much salt. Easy as that.
All right, let's transition into part 3, which tackles the elephant in the room, getting your essential vitamins and supplements.
So while a plant-based diet is absolutely packed with things like potassium, folate, and vitamin C, there are a few specific nutrients you need to pay close attention to. First up is vitamin B12. It's vital for nerve function, but it's produced by bacteria, not plants, so the guide strongly recommends taking a daily supplement of 25 micrograms. Then there's iodine, which you need for thyroid health, about 140 micrograms a day. You can get it from seaweed, sure, but the source notes a supplement is really just the most practical choice. And finally, vitamin D. Honestly, everyone in the UK is advised to take 10 micrograms of this daily during the winter months anyway, completely regardless of their diet. The takeaway here, supplementing is simply the safest, most reliable, and most affordable way to cover your bases.
We also really need to talk about omega-3 fatty acids because they are absolutely crucial for brain health. But there's some nuance here because there are different types. You can easily get short-chain ALA omega-3s from whole plant foods. Literally just 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed or chia seeds a day hits the target. But for the long-chain DHA and EPA omega-3s, which fish normally get from eating algae, our bodies aren't always great at converting those from the ALA we eat. Because of this, the guide advises that taking a reliable microalgae supplement with at least 250 milligrams of DHA is a really smart move, especially for aging adults.
Which brings us to part 4, zooming out to look at exactly why going plant-based matters on a macro level.
The health data highlighted in our source material is honestly incredibly stark. Following a predominantly whole food plant-based diet is proven to be one of the absolute most effective ways to combat some of our biggest major killers. It actively reduces the risk of cardiovascular disease by helping manage high blood pressure and cholesterol. It reduces the risk of type 2 diabetes and can even improve blood sugar control better than standard dietary approaches. On top of all that, it lowers the risk of certain cancers and dementia. We're talking about significantly promoting longevity and actively protecting your DNA.
But, the benefits don't just stop at our own bodies. Take a look at this absolutely mind-blowing contrast in carbon footprints. A daily plant-based diet generates about 1.5 kilograms of CO2. The average UK diet, that jumps up to 4.7 kilograms. And what about a low-carbohydrate diet that's heavy on animal products? That skyrockets to 5.8 kilograms of CO2 every single day. Choosing plants drastically slashes emissions. It really goes to show how the food right there on our plates is directly tied to climate change.
And if you want to understand the environmental argument even further, just look at the land use. To sustain one single person for a day on a plant-based diet takes just 4 square meters of land. To sustain someone on a low-carb, high-animal product diet, that takes nearly 5 times that amount, 19 square meters. When you multiply that massive difference by billions of people around the globe, you start to quickly understand why the source material points to animal agriculture as a primary driver of deforestation and biodiversity loss.
Okay, moving into our 5th and final section, tips for eating well. Let's make this actionable.
If you've ever felt totally overwhelmed walking down the grocery store aisles, the guide offers this wonderfully simple framework to keep in your back pocket. Lower, less, least. First, go for lower fat salt and sugar products. Second, use less oils and spreads. Seriously, even the healthier, unsaturated ones like olive oil pack a really dense caloric punch. And third, aim for the least amount of processing. Whenever you can, just choose whole foods. It makes a world of difference.
To wrap up the daily mechanics, here's a quick, rapid-fire checklist of the most crucial habits to build. Base your meals on those whole-grain, starchy foods. Try to get your protein primarily from things like beans, lentils, and tofu, rather than those highly processed meat substitutes. Don't forget your daily tablespoon of ground flaxseed or chia seeds. Keep your daily salt intake strictly under 6 grams. That's about 1 teaspoon for the whole day. And finally, of course, stay hydrated with 6 to 8 glasses of water.
So, we've covered the layout of the plate, the vital supplements, the incredible health benefits, and the massive environmental impact, all based on the Eatwell guide. Now I want to leave you with a somewhat provocative question to chew on tonight. What is one small change you will make to your plate tomorrow? Whether it's swapping out a refined carb for a whole grain, maybe adding just 1 extra portion of veggies, or finally picking up that B12 supplement, knowledge is really only power when you actually put it on the plate. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and stay curious.